This is Ant from Your Property Network magazine, and if you might be watching this video on YouTube or on our Facebook channel or on the YPN app or LinkedIn or somewhere like that, and this is one of the condensed interviews that we like to do online, giving you a bit of a flavour about what's in one of the articles in YPN. So we bring on a real life property investor or developer and talk through what they're up to. So today I'm really pleased to be talking to Joanne Sainsbury. So Joanne, thank you for joining me on the call today.
Hi, Ant. It's an absolute pleasure. I'm really pleased to be here. Thank you.
And today we're sort of talking about, for you, a sort of starting in property, but sort of restarting in property, really. And can you tell us a little bit about what that means, sort of restarting in property?
I think I've now got the title of an old newbie. And that's because it was many years ago that I did buy a couple of flats and really did nothing in between. So went off and did a career mainly in retail, in actual fact, and then I actually sold my retail shop. And I've always had a passion for property, and thought, right, I will go out there and get a few more single lets. Until I came across the YPN magazine, which I found through home and renovation show, and then I came across the PIN community, and all of a sudden I thought, whoa, I know nothing at all about property. This is amazing, and decided to educate myself, and that was one of the best things I have ever done.
Okay, brilliant. And I think it's really interesting. It's lovely to hear you say that about the magazine, but it's really interesting that your plan initially was to buy a couple of flats, and that's where most people come into this: buy a property, have some money, buy a property, bit of rental income and long-term capital appreciation. But YPN has always been about a bit more than that, and I guess it was designed really for people who want to create an income, create a business or a side business to sort of a main job or whatever it might be, to create a sustainable income, which I don't like the term passive income, but a more passive income than perhaps running the shop was, or doing a job. So that's your goal now, isn't it? We're talking about goal setting today, was to create this income from a set of resources.
Yes, yeah, and I think you're right, really, not to call it a passive income. I think it will get to becoming a passive income, and that is actually my long-term goal. But truthfully, you start out. It is a new business for me, and it is a business. It's a limited company. I run it as a business, and you start out, and it is just hard work. It really is. You've actually got to find the deal, you've got to fund the deal, you've got to find the investor, you've got to renovate the property, you've got to tenant the property. Now, a lot of this can be done. You can sit in Hong Kong, I'm sure, and do it all, but that's not the sort of investor I want to be, and not the sort of investor. I just couldn't do that. So at the moment, it is hard work. But I do see, and I have a vision, and I actually have a very clear vision as to how it is going to progress, and what I am going to do and what my goals are.
Okay, well, I think it's really important to talk about those goals as well. But so the thing is with property, and we say this all the time, that the work is, if you could do it right, the work is front loaded. So you get loads of work up front, find the property, sort the finance, renovate it and get it tenanted. And if, and during all that time, we don't make any money. But the plan is, and I think that's probably why a lot of people don't do this or give up, because there's no longer term plan. So let's talk about your longer term plan, the end goal, if there is an end goal, or where you want to get to, and how you came to that. So can you define what that looks like for us?
So I've actually always been a very good planner. I just like to plan. I like to look at the future. I'm not particularly good at looking back, because if you do, so much has gone wrong in life. I think it has for everybody, but I can't wallow on that. I just can't. So I am a great planner. And I think this vision and this plan that I have started about 9 years ago, 8-9 years ago. And we went on holiday to the Azores. Just off the islands, just off Portugal. There's 9 islands altogether, and we had 2-3 lovely holidays there. And you know how sometimes in life you don't know how things happen, but it just happened that we kept going back, and eventually we found we'd bought a plot of land there. You know, it's not something you do every day, and so that is really when the vision started. So then we just bumbled on, because we've got a teenage daughter, and we certainly was not going to do anything until she is happily settled as a young adult in doing whatever she's going to do, and bumbled on until I sold my shop. And that was 4 years afterwards. So I now have I have then 5 years to do left what I wanted to do. A year and a half of that has gone, and I'm on track, thoroughly enjoying it. Now have a couple of HMOs, a couple of flats, on track to get 2 or 3 more HMOs this year. And the plan is in 3.5 years' time, and this is now going to hold me accountable if I say how many properties I'm going to have. But you know, I really want about 5 or 6 HMOs to go along with our flats. That is my plan. I will then hand all the portfolio over, either to rent, which of course without my education I didn't even know about, or I'll hand it over fully managed to a letting agent, and will actually go on and we will go and build our house in the Azores. And we intend, I mean, this might all fall through with Brexit. What's going to happen there? Who knows?
But one thing we've definitely learned over the last sort of year or so is that, you know, plans change, but I still don't think that's, personally, I think that's, you still need a plan. The plan might change, but you still need a plan.
Yeah, absolutely. We really cannot go there. We can, the Portuguese don't want us, and we cannot build there, and it doesn't work. But I've still got the vision at the moment, and it's keeping me going, absolutely. Yeah. So, and then we live 6 months in the Azores, and we live 6 months in the UK. And then I truly believe it will become a passive income. And not that I want to stop working. It's not me, it's not my style. I would then like to become a coach. And then I would like to give a little bit back on what I've learned. People have been amazingly helpful with me. And so my vision then is when my property becomes a passive, then I can give something back to the community.
And do you have a sort of target income for the HMOs and, you know, particular sort of tenant profile and geographical area that you're working on? So are you at the point where you've sort of refined a model for HMO investment?
I mean, yes. I mean, my geographical area is sort of Worcestershire, that area, Warwickshire I live, Birmingham. I'm basically homing in at the moment on the blue collar workers. So it's the areas I'm looking at have just got a lot of industry, a lot of factories being regenerated. And that, so it's not a high end. I do a really good job and nice places, but, you know, they're not quite the higgy house by any means. Yeah. You know, and they're nicely designed, and my daughter's on board with that. But it's getting I know my target market, and I know who I'm targeting, and it's getting that.
I think it's really important you say that, because we can all get drawn into the sort of very, very, you know, top end properties that we might want to live in ourselves. But I've always found that it's better to sort of say, well, this is my target market, this is how much they can afford, and I'll provide the best accommodation in that price bracket. So not the best accommodation on earth, but the best accommodation that's available in that price bracket. And it sounds like that's exactly what you're going for.
Absolutely, and I just think that's so important. And, you know, the benefits of making it a home for them, making it, you know, a nice design and a home, somewhere for them to live and be happy in. And I think that is so important, and that's what my property is called Silver Property, and that's what we're aiming to do. Yeah.
Now, one of the biggest challenges is when we're working towards a goal in buying more properties, which, you know, in our community, we all are most of the time. One of the biggest challenges is running out of money. You know, that old model that you talked about before of buying a sort of couple of flats and leaving the money in, you know, you might be able to do 1, you might be able to do 2 or 10, depending how much money you've got, but the money's finite. So have you got a plan that helps you stretch that money, your working capital, and to bring in sort of other sources of finance if needs be?
Well, I mean, this was my naivety. honestly, at the beginning of the property journey, is that I really didn't know that ordinary people lent money to ordinary people. I didn't know about peer-to-peer lending. And I went to a PIN meeting when we could go physical. And again, sometimes in life, you don't know how these things happen. I met a lovely gentleman. We talked, we were fairly local. We decided we'd meet up, we went to see properties. He had some properties. You just gel, you just got on. And one day I was saying, oh, I need some money for this project. Anyway, to cut a long story short, he goes, I'll lend you some money. Well, I was the most shocked person out. So he's been an absolutely amazing investor. He's lent for a project, and the best thing was, it was 2 weeks ago, and we actually paid him back. We had a Zoom champagne call, and he's had his money back. So that's investor number one, and I know he will invest again because he has said. That's absolutely,
and those relationships are absolutely key, aren't they? And I know when I've sort of worked with investors, they're looking after them is number one goal, making sure that their money's safe and everything. That's goal number one. So how hands-on are you with the properties now? Are you self-managing them at the moment, or have you got agents on board at the moment?
No, self-managing, and I'm enjoying it. I'm a bit of a workaholic. My husband has to try and stop me at weekends, but I do try and not work at weekends. I just love it and enjoy it. So I'm thoroughly enjoying it. And one thing that I will do, we've got a new property just about to get the keys. I will go and spend a week painting. It's one of my joys. I put my music on, and everybody around me goes, "Be your property professional. You shouldn't do that." And I go, you've got to enjoy life and do what you enjoy. And I think that's so important in this business. And I think so many people, even in this business, get all het up. Well, I enjoy what I do, and I'm going to remain doing my little bit of painting while I enjoy it. But
property can be a lonely business as well at times, but it sounds like you've kind of overcome that by joining a community and getting involved with sort of online networking events at the moment, online, and hopefully returning in person soon. Has that sort of other sources of information with our magazine and networking with other investors, do you think that's made a difference when times have got tough? You get obstacles along the way?
Amazing, a really, really big difference. Once again, I thought that Facebook 18 months ago was what people had for dinner, and they put on that, and I just thought, I can't be doing with any of this social media. And I mean, I am just a changed person. I embrace it to a certain extent on the business front, very much so. I now have a really good LinkedIn presence. I have a good Facebook presence. I've actually set up a business post parties just to help other people, and that's going well. I've just embraced the whole community, and I couldn't do this without it. I don't feel alone. I feel that I have the community around that I can reach out to. I feel like I now have a fantastic power team. I'm on Mastermind, and I have my Mastermind buddies. I feel really part of a great family.
Does it feel different to the retail business in the way that there are other people around to ask questions, whereas perhaps in your previous business, it would have been difficult to kind of reach out and ask other people who might have been doing the same thing, or was that the same?
No, totally different. And I ran my shops, and there was other people, and you knew them and you would talk to them, but you never had the openness. I find that the majority of people in property are really fairly open, and will give you, much more information, much more help. It was very much a closed shop in the shop, and I felt very lonely in the shop because every decision was my decision, and still is in this business, But I had no network there, no real help. The suppliers that wanted you to buy their products, every rep, their products was the best since sliced bread. That was no help to me. Yeah. So no, it's very, very different. It's a much nicer community, definitely.
Okay, that's really nice to hear, because it's so very important to sort of benchmark what we do against what other people do. Not to compare ourselves to them, but just to understand, oh, that's a model that works for them. I could adapt that into my business. And I'm not sure that happens in many industries.
Yeah, no, I really don't think it does. And I mean, I immersively tapped into so many people sort of a year or so ago, and they were just so amazing and so helpful. And I actually open up my diary for, an hour a day to the end of the day, and I'll go on the meetings, the YPN meetings, the PPN meetings. You have to do them all. It's so important. And if there tends to be newbies, I'll say, I'll have a half-hour chat with you. And that is just a lovely part of this business from my point of view. It really is. I'm just enjoying that. I've got loads to learn. I appreciate that. I probably know a little bit more than they do at the moment. So it's great.
Well, I always think we've all got lots to learn, haven't we, still? And,
absolutely.
Someone else might know something that I don't know and vice versa. And it's really important to sort of, have those conversations. So
every day is a school day.
Every day is a school, absolutely. So even when school doesn't happen, I've got my kids behind me here, so yeah, every day is a school day. So have there been, it sounds like you're loving the sort of property journey so far, have there been elements of it which are different to you thought they would be, or some of the challenges along the way that you hadn't necessarily anticipated? Can you think of any of those?
Yeah, I think from bumbling into my first bridge to let, and I think I did bumble across it really, because the mortgage broker said, right, this is a really smelly property that needs completely renovating, we'll do a bridge to let. And other than naively told me, to the very end I went, whoa, that's how much it cost me. It was really quite expensive, but fantastic, really glad that I did it. I've come across, it's just niggles and little problems, but I am the sort of person that almost enjoys a challenge, and the fact that I've had to have gas put in a property and that Cadent took 10 days to find their own gas meter, and that it was delayed, and that we took 4.5 months to get a front door from a project. And that's why the old one was in there for so long. There's been loads and loads of challenges, but the trouble is they don't stay at the forefront of my mind, because I really just have to say, right, I've got to get this challenge sorted out. I mean, I've got one today, this afternoon, a flat that we've just spent £10,000 on renovating. The boiler was supposed to be fine, it's gone. And that's going to be another £1,500. And I've got somebody going there today, and I'm just thinking, here's another challenge, but that is property.
I mean, I think that is property, isn't it? And, some people come into it expecting it to just be sort of a get-rich-quick thing, and it's absolutely possible to generate a revenue really from a standing start quite often relatively quickly and build a business relatively quickly. But get-rich, doing that, get-rich-quick implies it's going to be easy. And I think we should always be honest and say that's not been my experience in property. I've loved every minute of it, but, well, not every minute, but overall I've loved it. Absolutely, yeah.
I think, and I do think there is different ways you can buy properties. I mean, I do think there's completely, I mean, I have some colleagues and they are in full-time jobs, and they're going down, this is a very good route to do if they want, they're going down the finding the sourcer, and they're just basically putting the money in, they're buying the project, and it can be in the north or it can be miles away from where they live, and they are letting everybody else do it. Now that is another route, and I know it works well for some certain people. So at the end of it, they have this lovely, and it is then much more of passive income. So I think, this is great because you can choose in property which route you want to take. It's not a route I want to take, but it is a route out there as well.
And sort of coming into this after sort of, quite a few years of running other businesses and coming in as, not someone who's in their 20s and just embarking on a career or whatever. Do you think that a lot of people would be put off by doing that, wouldn't they? Because they're used to doing what they know. So how's the experience been sort of coming into this, with other business experience and, decades in another industry? Would you encourage other people to look at property?
Well, I think I'm actually on a little bit of a mission to try and inspire shall we say, the older people in the community, slightly older, because I'm not a whippersnapper, and I could actually be retiring. I could have left my shop and retired. And I think, I'm here to try and sort of, inspire them to say that you can do it. I think the one great benefit I have had is that I have been self-employed all my life, and I have run businesses. Now, changing from a retail business, and we had petrol stations before that, restaurant manager before that, a business is a business. And you have to have the self-motivation to get out of bed. I've never had anybody telling me to do that. And I think that's where I am very, very lucky. And I think, and this is where, if you're in a job and you're wanting to do this, the mindset is quite more difficult for them than it is for the likes of me, or for the likes of anybody who has run their own business, because it is just another business. And the same things, but it's just property and not mugs and picture frames.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. Well, look, we this is just an introduction video, really, that we're recording, and obviously when we produce the article in the magazine, we do a much more extended interview. We have done a much more extended interview with you, and all the case study figures are in there, and the real life sort of property facts and figures, and how you found it, and finance and cost and all that kind of thing, and that's in the most recent edition of YPN. And so if people are watching this, they can access that either by getting the hard copy, or we have an app, so all of our subscribers can access, I think it's 2 or 3 years worth of back copies on there as well. There you go, it's the magazine. And so the link to go to, and you do get your first copy of the magazine completely free of charge. You get access to the app and the last 2 years worth of editions free of charge as initially a free trial. And there's loads of other stuff on there as well, recorded webinars, recorded trainings, all those kind of things. So I think there's probably around 400 or 500 hours worth of stuff on there. But and that link is just yourpropertynetwork.co.uk/subscribe, yourpropertynetwork.co.uk/subscribe. And as I say, you get your first copy free of charge, and it's £7.95 a month thereafter. And 10,000 property investors can't be wrong. So, Joanne, it's been a pleasure talking to you, and I can't wait to sort of catch up with you when you're sort of further towards that goal, and we can go back and look at the challenges along the way and tick some of those.
Excellent. Really, really enjoyed it. Thank you very much, Anne. It's been great.